University. After that, Sir became a teaching faculty in the Department of Chemistry. Later, he became the associate professor in the Department of Chemistry and served the institute in a number of ways. At present, Ravikumar sir is the warden of Sai Sathya Sai Hostel at Brindavan campus. But the best introduction to Ravikumar sir will be sir's interaction with our beloved Bhagawan. Every one of us get a number of lessons from this interaction. To one example, when Ravikumar sir was studying, his father came for darshan and both of them went to the interview room. Swami told Ravikumar sir father that he's a very good boy, studying well, all those things. And when the father left, Ravikumar sir asked Swami, I'm not such a good boy, Swami. Swami said, I'm telling you not what you are, but what you can become. So every speech given by Ravikumar sir will be full of such lessons taught by our beloved Bhagawan. And it is a great boon, blessing from our beloved Bhagawan that Dr. Ravikumar sir is with us today. On behalf of all of you and on behalf of Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization South Zone, we extend to you, sir, a most cordial welcome. We welcome all the participants who have joined now and those who will be joining within few minutes. We welcome you all and we pray to our beloved Bhagawan to bless all of us so that we can move forward to him with his grace. Sairam, thank you. Dr. Ravi Kumar sir.
Offering my humble salutations at Bhagawan's lotus feet. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Most beloved and dearest Bhagawan, respected elders, brothers and sisters, thank you, Mukundan sir, for that very generous introduction. I hope, as you correctly said, Swami said what I should become. I hope I'm inching towards that every day. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyudhanam adharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha dushkratam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So what is this dharmasya glanir? He says whenever there's a decline in dharma and an upsurge of adharma, I embody myself, and to save the pious and to destroy the wicked, I come yuga after yuga. Sambhavami, I appear on the scene yuga after yuga. So the question is, what is this dharma that keeps on getting weakened and the Lord has to come and do a dharma stapana? So one day this question was asked, Swami, is dharma such a thing that keeps on weakening with time and you need to come again and again to strengthen it? Swami said dharma is an eternal concept. It is not something that weakens with time. It is only the practice of dharma that declines with time. It is to restore that practice that I appear on the scene. And what is this dharma stapana? One day, two professors of the institute were discussing this. Swami was giving a series of discourse on Bhagavad Gita in the 80s. And they were wondering, what is this Dharma Sthapana? How does it happen? And the next day, Swami was giving a discourse. Swami looked at both of them and said, some people are wondering, what is this Dharma Sthapana? Actually, the Dharma Sthapana that I have come to do is the Sthapana of Prema Dharma. No, the Dharma of Prema. That's why he says, when describing the avatar hood, he says, Yuga Dharma Paddatul Vigalitamai Nayamargamu Trippi Nadapu Karaku. I come whenever the Yuga Dharma needs a new light to be thrown on it, and Nayamargamu Trippi Nadapu Karaku, to turn people towards the right direction. But how does he do it? Very, very compassionately. Sometimes we need that gentle push towards Dharma. And Swami does it very beautifully. I had actually not thought of mentioning this incident, but because Mukundan sir mentioned this, I think I must elaborate on this. Dharma Sthapana happens in each of our lives in various ways. You know, the respect for the right codes of conduct of what we should be doing in our various roles, as a student, as a teacher, as a professional, as an advocate, as a doctor, whatever. So I was studying in the city of Bangalore, in a school, which was very old, which was a century old. And on the very first day, the students, as we all assembled there, the teacher came and told us about the syllabus and all that. And after the teacher left, 3 students who were there in the class came and stood in front of us and asked us, do you know who we are? Of course, we didn't know who they were. And they said, we are your seniors. Then one of the boys asked, if you are our senior, why are you sitting in our class? And so they said, no, we have completed this 8th standard 3 times. Completed in the sense, they have taken this 8th standard lesson 3 times. Obviously, they have successfully failed 3 times. And so they said, we are going to conduct a quiz. No, imagine the first day, freshers, quiz. We are wondering what it's going to be. And they said, the quiz will be on the school. We want to know how much you know about the school. So the question was, tell us what you know about the school. We talked about the granite structure of the building and the classrooms and how we have French windows and a huge playground and all that. They said, what is there beyond the playground? Because we didn't know what was beyond the playground. They said the real classrooms are actually there. And then they revealed to us that on the other side of the classroom, real lessons are taught. On this side, only theory, that side, practice. So we are surprised, what is this? And then we found, to our utter surprise, that on the other side were 3 cinema theaters. And they were telling us that real lessons are taught there, not here. Here, if you attend these classes, you will only get sleep. If you sit there, you'll learn, you'll acquire knowledge. And so from the next day, we used to give our attendance in the school and then jump to the French windows and go and see cinemas every day. This happened 6 days in a week. 6 cinemas we used to see. Then suddenly one of our classmates got a brilliant idea. He said, our education will be very slow if we go at this pace. We need to make sure that the holiday, 7th day, is also covered. So from that day, we started seeing films on Saturday in the morning and evening. And things were going on fine. Thursdays, Vibhuti mark and white dress, and the Balvika's teacher used to be easily fooled. And she would even tell the others to follow my example and all that. Things were going on like this. Nobody knew that the code of conduct that as a student that I'm supposed to follow, I'm not following. Dharma Glanir was happening in my own life. So it is at that time what happened. We went to Brindavan. And as we were sitting in the lines in Brindavan, my father and I, Swami called us for interview. My father was very excited that Swami has called us for interview and wanted to go inside, but I was not so keen. Because somewhere in the corner of my mind, there was always this worry whether, so they say Swami is omniscient, and suppose he knows about this, and suppose he reveals it to everyone, what will happen? Once we went inside and stood, Swami came after darshan. He patted me on my cheeks and said, "Good boy." That's what he told in front of my father and everybody. And my father was thrilled. And I was even more thrilled because till now that little doubt which I had whether Swami knows was now clearly answered. He doesn't know my true nature. That's what I thought. And it was at this moment Swami sent my father outside to call the other Samiti members and then called me near. And he said, "Good boy, isn't it?" I, of course, tried to look as good as I could. And then Swami said, "Good boy? Are you a good boy?" And that full stop had become a question mark. And then, as I was keeping quiet, because in Bal Vikas they teach you the silent sitting and all, which is very useful, Swami said, "Where were you yesterday?" And I said, "Swami, yesterday was a Saturday." A typical student response to a question you don't want to answer is to give a lot of useless information. Swami said, "I know if today is Sunday, yesterday must have been Saturday. But where were you yesterday?" I said, "Swami, yesterday was Saturday, so I would have been in school." He said, "Correct. You should have been in school, but where were you?" I kept quiet. And then Swami said, "Shall I tell?" I'm thinking all along, yeah, why not? If you know, why don't you go ahead and tell? You need my permission. And Swami says, "Yesterday you were in Ajanta Theatre and you were watching Katti Patang. Asha Parekh, Rajesh Khanna, you were seeing this film." And he named this classmate who was sitting on my left, sitting on the right, last row but one. "Do you need any more information?" And it was at that time I saw my father coming. I was worried that information would be passed on to him, and his devotion to Swami would become even stronger, and he would say, "Swami, you're God, and you know everything," and you would fall at his feet. But instead of that, when my father came and I had a panic attack, Swami patted me on my cheeks and told my father, "He's a good boy, but I told him that he should also have good company." And at that moment, something happened. Something happened to my life. When he called us for an interview, we talked about so many things for an hour and a half or more. But the only thing which kept on going around in my mind again and again was, is there somebody who knows everything about me, but who loves me so much that he'll not let me down in front of others? If there is someone like that, it is Swami, and he must be God. And this is the God whom I will worship. And so from that day, my life changed. So that Dharma Glanir, in fact, Swami, in the letter that he wrote to his brothers, he says, "Sanmargamunu Vidi Charinchuvarula Patti Kapadute Vratamunaku." I have taken a vow. And what is that vow? Those who go along the wrong path, to hold them by the hand and to bring them to the right path. That is the vow I have taken. He holds us by the hand. Professor Kasturi one day asked him, "Swami, why should you hold by the hand? Is it not enough to show this is the way, if you go, you reach the destination. If you go this way, you go away from the destination?" And Swami said, "Yeah, that is correct. It will happen if that person is not blind, but when you lead the blind, you have to hold by the hand." And the other thing that he said was, when you go to a doctor, what does he do? The doctor, while he's squirting the medicine, he will hold you by the hand and ask you, "What's your name? From what are you studying?" and things like that. And then quickly poke into you and give the medicine. And Swami said, this path, the spiritual path, is, as Somerset Maugham says, is a razor's edge. It's a very thin line. To walk on that is very difficult. So God must hold you by the hand and lead you, because the path to heaven is a path which is very narrow. The path to hell, of course, we all know, it's a 8-lane highway. Okay, like the ones which we see in our cities nowadays. Because somebody asked Swami, why is it like this, Swami? The path to heaven is so narrow. Swami said, no traffic is there. Whereas the path to hell, a lot of traffic. And that's why you have such a broad road. So this is what happens. What does Swami do? That prema dharma, nayamargamuna, by pleasant means, by a sweet means, by being kind and affectionate, Swami holds us by the hand and brings us to the right path. Of course, there's another instant I remember today. Professor Bhagawan's son, his name was Dr. Radhakrishna. He was an IIT professor. I remember he gave us a speech in summer course in Ooty in 1976, and he was mentioning this. Swami had come to his house, and he found that his father was very attached to Swami. He had become a devotee of Swami, and Swami was visiting them. This youngster was not at all interested. He had his other plans. He had told his friends that he wants to meet them, and they would have some gala time outside. And then he thought, I will just tell I have a special class and go. Anyway, nobody will know. And this class can be for 3-4 hours. By the time I come, Swami would have finished his lunch and gone. So he planned like that. And then when he came back, he found that Swami was still there. And then Swami asked him, how was your class? He said, Swami, my class was fine. And then Swami told him softly, I know you did not go to your class. And then Swami told him, next week I'll perform your Upanayanam. During the Upanayanam, what Swami did was, Swami created a watch and gave it to him and told him, from now onwards, become a good student, concentrate on academics, don't keep roaming around with your friends, be on the right path, and so on. And then also told him, if you go along with your friends to see movies, this watch will stop. Now, he followed this for some time. And after some time, they had some exams. When the final exam got over, his friend said, hey, come on, let's go to a movie. And this youngster reasoned out what is wrong in seeing a movie. After all, a scientific explanation, no watch is going to stop just because you go to a movie, as if the watch has a life. How will it know? And so he went to the movie with them. When he came back, someone asked him, what's the time? He looked into his watch and he realized the watch had stopped exactly at the time he entered the cinema hall. And so he was dumbstruck. He came back home, and quietly the next day and for a week after that, he went around the various shops, watch shops in Hyderabad, and they said some balance stock, something has gone. And he said, how much ever it costs, it's okay, please get me. And everywhere he found that they said if they were not able to get it. So finally, what did he do? He went to Puttaparthi. As he was sitting in the line, Swami came to him and said, is your watch still working? And seeing the shock on his face, Swami said, balance stock is not available, no? He wanted to restore the balance in his life. So Swami said, show me the watch. And he just tapped on it and it became okay. So Nayamargamuna Trippi Nadapu Koraku, God has to come and touch our hearts. There is a beautiful book called Sai Sathya Sai, written by Mr. Abdul Korbu. He was a mercantile law professor who used to come to the Sathya Sai Institute in the 80s, a Muslim gentleman. He was literally from the streets, he had worked his way up and become a professor. He became a great devotee of Swami. And during one of his interviews, Swami said, where there is love, there is no need of law. So this is the Dharma Stapana is done by installing love in our heart. After all, Swami says the various human values. What is Satya? Satya is just love as thought is Satya. What is Dharma? Love as action is Dharma. What is Shanti? Love as feeling is Shanti. And what is Ahimsa? Love as understanding. These are various manifestations of love. And that is what Swami teaches us. And so we need to, that love has to be installed in our hearts. We have to realize that once we have love in our hearts, our way of looking at things completely changes. So, Lokamulalla kallolamai chediyunda nishkalmashamu chesi nadapu koraku. And the world around is fully chaotic and full of confusion, confounded. Then God comes and clarifies. He makes your heart pure and then makes you see things as they are. Because when you see with love, things completely change. This is what Swami always used to say. He used to say, love is the undercurrent. So you must start looking at everything with the lens of love. And that is what Swami always teaches us. Now, coming back to this Prema Dharma, which Swami was talking about, in a casual conversation one day around the July in Sai, Swami said, when the Krishna form came, after when the Krishna form came, and after that, what happened? There were so many people who reached the goal of life. What is Dharma after all? Swami used to say, Dharma is like this. See, a fire is not fire if it does not burn. Ice is not ice if it is not cool. Similarly, what is the nature of man? The nature of man is to realize his oneness with all creation. This is the purpose of life. To make people achieve this purpose of life, God comes again and again and again. Sambhavami yuge yuge. Okay. And that is what happens, he said. For instance, if you take the Krishna avatar, after the Krishna avatar or during the Krishna avatar, there were so many devotees who reached the goal of life. Radha, Meera, Gopikas, Surdas, Dadi Bandava, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jayadeva, Narayana Bhattatri. So many devotees like that, thousands and thousands of devotees were able to achieve the goal of life. So the Dharma Stapana is done with prema. When it is done, when the love is established, Swami said, I come with a particular form. And that form evokes that kind of love. And when you have Daiva Preeti, when you start loving God, okay, affection for God, when you become not just affectionate, but attached to God, then you get detached from the world. Attachment to God is detachment from the world. As Swami said, you turn the key one side, it becomes locked. You turn the key the other side, it becomes detached. Okay. Similarly, in the Rama avatar, Swami said you have Guha, Hanuman, Shabari, Jatayu, Tulsidas, Bhadrachal Ramdas, and number of such people who came and achieved the goal of life. So too, in this Sai form, this form has come. It will evoke that kind of a devotion among people. And there will be so many people who will be able to attain the goal of life. And this is what happens from age to age. Talking of the subtlety of Dharma, Swami said that, for instance, Dasharatha had told Rama, he had not told himself, but Kaikeyi took it upon herself to convey to Rama the message that Dasharatha had given her a boon, and so he had to go to the forest. The father wanted that he should go to the forest and Bharata should be made king. No, so Rama got into the chariot. Sumanta was driving the chariot. And as Sumanta was driving a chariot towards the forest, Dasharatha, the king, came running behind and telling Sumanta, stop, stop, stop. And Sumanta was about to stop. Rama said, no, go ahead. Don't stop. And Sumanta said, Rama, it is okay for you. You are going to the forest for 14 years. But I'll have to face Dasharatha, the king, when I come back. And he is going to take me to task for not listening to his words. And it was then that Rama said, no, you're making a mistake there. The Dasharatha who is now running behind the chariot is not the king Dasharatha, but the father Dasharatha. He is the father of Rama. And he is the one who is trying to stop you from proceeding. Whereas the king Dasharatha is the one who has given the promise to Kaikeyi. And that is the word which we need to honor. There was once, we were all doing Pad Seva to Swami, and there was a news item which had come that a certain person, a certain vice chancellor, who had made all kinds of accusations on Swami, and even demanding Swami that Sai Baba should prove that he is God and things like that. His room had been vandalized by students and in the university and things like that in the news item. So one of the professors who was there, who was sitting there, felt very happy. And he was thinking that person definitely deserves this. And as he was thinking like this, Swami looked at him and said, Nanjundaya, that is a very wrong thought. This is not how my devotees should think. Then the professor said, but Swami, he is such a cruel person. Someone like you who is doing so much of good to society. How is it that he is finding so much of fault and accusing you, dishonestly, and he is demanding so many things? Then Swami said, so what is the problem? People can talk whatever they want. You need not believe that. Then Professor Nanjundaya said, no, Swami, but I'm not able to bear all this accusation. Then Swami said, you can pray to me this way. You can say, Swami, all that he is telling, all these stupid and wrong things that he is telling, let it not reach my ears. That you can pray. You have a right on that. But you cannot pray. In fact, this professor had taught that Swami, his tongue should be paralyzed and he should suffer and things like that. Swami said, you should not pray like that. You should not even think harm for others, because that is not ahimsa. Ahimsa is not only bodily harm. It is even in thought. You should not have that kind of a thought. Then Swami said, there is a lamp. The lamp is lit and it's glowing. The wicks, there's a flame, and it's the nature of the flame to shed light. But the lamp is flickering. Why is it flickering? Because there is a breeze. And Swami said, so what will you do? Swami said, what you have to do is to make sure the lamp obeys its dharma and the breeze obeys its dharma. So how does the lamp obey its dharma? By glowing. How does the breeze obey its dharma? By trying to put off the lamp. So he said, use a glass chimney. So the lamp follows its dharma, the flame follows its dharma, and the breeze follows, the wind follows its dharma. So both can go on simultaneously. In fact, probably that is why the coexistence of things which don't seem to be together is beautifully portrayed when we see Shiva's family. We see that Shiva has a bull as his mount, and Parvati has a lion, and on one side Shiva has around his neck he has snakes, and Kartikeya has as his mount a peacock. And then, as if that is not enough, Ganesha has a mouse. And you find the snake. And on one side, Shiva has the cool moon. On the other side, he has the Ganges flowing. And he has in his hand the fire. Okay, all things which are contradictory, but all these are together. It is to show that all these can coexist. That Swami shows us. In fact, to show us that all these religions, for instance, can coexist, because one word, one name that is given for religions is also dharma. What is a religion? As the Bhagavatam says, Echata putteno achata naijuta prani kotikin. What is man's dharma? To complete the circle, where he began, he must reach back to that source. That is his dharma. That is the purpose for which he has come on earth. That is the purpose of his existence. And maybe because religion also means that, really, Gary, okay, to come back to the source. Maybe that is why one way in which religions are called in the world is dharma. In the in Dharma Kshetra, Swami inaugurated the stupa in the 50th year of his advent. Of course, that was the first stupa in that year which Swami inaugurated. The second one Swami inaugurated in Prashantinilaya. And what are these stupas called? Sarva Dharma Aikya Prema Stupa. Sarva Dharma Aikya Prema Stupa. It is a stupa which shows the unity of all religions. Okay. Sarva Dharma, all the religions talk of the same Lord. Swami says, some person is there in the house, and the sons call him as father, his father calls him as son, the wife calls him as husband, the grandchildren call him as grandfather. These are various ways of description by different people who establish connection to him in different ways. And that is what different religions do. They bring you to him in various ways. And that is different perspectives, not even different perspectives. The same mountaintop can be reached by various paths. Unfortunately, what happens, as time progresses, we find that the paths are misunderstood. There are any number of paths which can help you reach the top. What is the top? The top is always unity, Advaita. There's only one being, Ekam Eva Advitiyam, as the Upanishad declare. So there is only one at the top, but the paths are many. Why are the paths many? Because that is God's way of making sure that all of us have, it is within reach. We can reach him from anywhere. Okay. So as they used to say, all roads lead to Rome. When the church was very strong in those days, they used to say all roads lead to Rome. The idea was that different paths lead to Rome. Similarly, different paths lead you to God. There is a sage or a spiritual aspirant, a seeker, who climbs this difficult path, goes to the top and enjoys the scenery, the beauty that is there, and the serene atmosphere. And when he comes down, he says, Shrunvantu Vishve Amritasya Putraha. And then he says to all the beings, what does he say? He says that Vedaham etam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasah parastat. This being is beyond darkness. Okay. And then he says, this being can be reached from here. And he shows, to make it easy for everyone, he puts an arrow and says, this is a path leading to the top. And after some time, somebody else comes and says, this is the path leading to the top. Some more years pass, and someone says, this is the only path leading to the top. And then somebody else comes and says, this is the only path leading to the top, and all other paths lead to hell. This is how the corruption happens generally. We find that slowly over a period of time, our understanding keeps changing. And that is why the heart has to be clarified. As Swami very beautifully says, there's a quotation of Swami which Dr. Abdul Kalam used to mention everywhere, wherever he used to go and speak. He used to mention this. Unfortunately, I found that many people are quoting it as if it is Dr. Abdul Kalam's quotation itself. That is, he used to say, when there is righteousness in the heart, there is beauty in character. So righteousness should be installed in the heart. And what is that righteousness? Love. Love is the righteousness which Swami has come to install in our heart. There is beauty in character. When there is beauty in character, what is its impact? There is harmony at home. When there's beauty in character, each understands the other, and each is prepared to make a sacrifice for the other. There is understanding, there is affection, and there is beauty in the character. When there is beauty in the character, there is harmony at home. When there's harmony at home, there is order in the nation. And when there's order in the nation, there is peace in the world. So we cannot bring about peace in the world in any other way. One Swami is giving a talk in Baba Atomic Research Center, and one scientist asked Swami, countries like America and Russia are producing so many bombs, so many missiles. Don't you think India should also produce missiles and we should not be left behind? And he said, they have enough bombs to destroy the world many times over. Swami said, there's something wrong fundamentally wrong in your description itself. And Swami said, you cannot destroy anything multiple times. You can destroy it only once. Once it's destroyed, it's not there. So what is left to destroy? And then Swami said, the other countries might be thinking of producing missiles, but India should stick to what will save the world. And Swami said, what is it that will save the world? Satya and Dharma alone will save the world. It is only by Satya and Dharma that the world will be saved. It will not be saved by anything else. It will be saved only by the practice of truth and by making people follow the right path. Satyam vada dharmam cha. These are the only things that India needs to do. And then he said, look at the Mahabharata. Instantly, one thing that I found very interesting is most of the chief justices of India, when they pass their judgment, if you read the judgment, there'll be some quote from Mahabharata. Very rarely they quote from Ramayana. Maybe it's because Ramayana, it's all black and white. Whereas it's in Mahabharata that you find, maybe it's closer to our times, there are shades. There is no black, there is no white. As Swami once mentioned, in the Treta Yuga, good and bad were in different regions. In the forest, you had the Asuras. In these kingdoms, cities, or the towns, you had the general good people. Whereas in Dwapar Yuga, this goodness and badness could not be kept separate. It started coming into the same family. The same Kuru Vamsha had both Pandavas and Kauravas. So what started off as two regions now became two parts of the same family. And Swami said in Kali Yuga, good and bad are not in different places or not in different relationships, but they are within each heart. And so he said, if in this avatar I take up the sword, then nobody will be left to listen to my discourse. That's what he said once. Nobody will be there in this Purnachanda auditorium. The hall will be empty. So that is why Nayamargamu Tuppi Nadapu Koraku. He has to do it in a beautiful way, in a simple way. He has to show the unity of all beings. He has to show that love is the most important glue that holds relationships together. He has to show that he is present in every being. And he does it in various ways. In the Shirdi Avatar also he showed this. How did he show? There was a person who came to Baba and said, Baba, I am having stomachache. So Baba said, see, the problem is you're drinking too much of milk products. So don't stop that. So this man tried to avoid it for a long time. He couldn't. And there was a lot of butter in his house. And so butter and milk, both of these were in his house. And so he tried to keep them out of reach. And he thought that will help him. But after all, our long arms will reach wherever it is possible to break the law. And that's what he did. He started eating. He kept it on the something hung from the roof. And then he found one day, as he was trying to reach it, a cat came and toppled the whole thing. And so he got very angry. And he took a stick and beat the cat. And at that time, what happened? The cat ran away from that place. And this man felt very miserable and that he had not been able to partake of that. He went to the masjid for the afternoon aarti, Dwarakamai. And he found Baba, and someone was massaging Baba's back. And Baba was telling, in the language typical of him, he said, scoundrels, they come to me and they complain of stomachache, and you tell them a medicine, they don't follow the medicine. And finally, when you want to help them, they beat you with a stick. That's what he said. And then this person understood what Baba was saying and fell at his feet and asked for forgiveness. Of course, this cat also reminds me of one more incident which happened in the 80s when we were students. I think it was the late 70s. There was a group which had come from Assam. And there was some kind of agitation going on that time in Assam. And these devotees had come all the way from Assam. It took them a week to reach Prashanti Nilayam. As the train was going to Bengal, the Assamese were pulled out of that and beaten up. As the train was going to Bengal, to Assam, the Bengalis were pulled out and beaten up. So something like that, they had a lot of problems. They went through a cyclone and all that and came to Prashanti Nilayam. So Swami was very touched by the amount of effort they have put. And Swami told, tell all these people who have come from Assam to assemble in the mandir. I will talk to them and give them prasadam and namaskar. And so Professor Kasturi went and asked these people to assemble. And Swami spoke to them, and Swami in his own way, he made them feel happy that they had problems all along the way, because that's what happens when you go to Swami. When you go to Swami, all disasters become something that you feel proud of. You feel happy that you went through a disaster, because of the disaster you get delivered. As Kunti said, oh Lord, please give me more problems, because when problems are there, I think of you, and when I think of you, I get happiness. So if I have problems, I get happiness. Okay, so that is the way Kunti prayed. This she asked the Lord for this boon of catastrophe that she prayed. So as Swami was going around, Professor Kasturi was walking behind him, and Swami was giving everyone namaskar, and Professor Kasturi was holding the basket, and Swami was giving handful of vibhuti to everyone. As he was giving handful of vibhuti to everyone, they came to one young girl, 16-year-old girl. Swami gave her a handful of vibhuti and moved ahead. And then after going some steps, Swami came back and gave her one more handful of vibhuti and said, "Ye billi ke liye." And this girl was in tears. She fell at Swami's feet, moved. And Professor Kasturi noted that. So after the whole thing was over and Swami went up, he traced this girl, went to her and asked her, tell me, what is that Billy? What is the cat that you are having with you, which is so blessed? It must be a devotee cat, because Swami remembers it and gives prasadam. It must be something very special. So then this lady said, this girl said, my sister and I live in Assam, and my sister is a nurse in one of the hospitals there, and we stay in the quarters, and I have a cat which I grow, and my sister is not very pleased with me for that. She is always upset about this cat. Of course, the cat is also, it doesn't know the code of conduct, and so it dirties the entire place, and she finds reason everywhere for the cat, for blaming the cat. And one day what happened, there was a fish. We had cooked some fish and kept, and this cat came and took off the fish. And so the nurse sister came down heavily on this younger sister, and the younger sister could not bear it. So much so, she took the cat and gave it a thorough thrashing. And she says, as she started giving thrashing, all the photos, there were 16 photos in the house of Swami, all of them started vibrating and fell down. And they thought it's an earthquake, but only Swami's photos had vibrated like that and fallen. And this cat, so she placed this cat on a table. The cat kind of shivered itself. And as it did that, vibhuti started coming from there. And so she realized that, and of course, after that, she realized that Swami is there in the cat, and Swami's protection is there for the cat. So this is the important thing that God comes to teach us. He comes to teach us the unity of all creation. The single being, the entire creation is a manifestation of that single being. Okay, and that is why it is necessary to treat each other with love. It is necessary to look after our environment, for instance, with love. That is what our Indian culture teaches us. It teaches us to treat the rivers as our own mother. Okay. Teaches us to treat the Himalayas as our father. Okay. That is the kind of relation our scriptures teach us to have towards nature, so that when we look at nature, we don't think that it is inanimate. Our scriptures say that all this is actually the same being, the same Satchidananda, taking various Rupa and Nama. The base is Sat Chit Ananda. Okay? But the Rupa and Nama are different. And when we understand the core of everything, not only will our treatment of all this become different, it will also become, we'll also realize that this is the way that the whole of mankind can come together. In the conflict-ridden society that we live together, we see that there are so many things happening all over the world because of differences. If we have to search for unity, we have to go to the very root of creation. And to make us see the root of creation, to make us realize this purpose, Swami takes form again and again. And when he comes, he tells, Kala Sandigdha Vigraha Suktulai Yunda Pashyartha Gopyamul Telupu Koraku. Now, because of the passage of time, our understanding of the various scriptures, of the commentaries and commentaries upon commentaries which have been written, they are more verbose, They don't go to the root. They only make confusion, confounded. And therefore, the Lord has to come to clarify this whole thing. He has to teach us that what is mentioned there, he has to kind of make it simpler. When you have a multitude of laws, you know how it becomes difficult. The different interpretations lead to more of confusion. And that is why the Lord comes to teach us the fundamental principle. When we understand the fundamental principle, then things become very, very different. And in fact, sorry, I have one more cat story. But when I think of when we have to go to the very root of why things are done, our way of understanding things will be different. There was a house in which Satyanarayana Puja used to be done. And by tradition, the grandfather, the father, the son, grandson, everybody used to do that Satyanarayana Vratam month after month, month after month. Satyanarayana is supposed to be a boon bestowing God, especially boon bestowing God. So he's venerated, and because we like boons, don't we? And so therefore they used to worship him. Now they found that there was a cat in the house which was very troublesome, because whenever they kept some prasadam, this cat would pounce on it and take it away even before the puja was done. Of course, not that they would be happy if it took after the puja, but even before the puja, it didn't seem to understand the gravity of the situation. It would take away the prasad. So they found a basket and put the cat under it and kept a stone on top of the basket till the Satyanarayana Puja was over and the prasadam was stored away carefully. This continued for a long time till the times of the grandson. And coming, one of the family friends who visited him said, "Hey, how is it you have not had Satyanarayana Puja for a long time?" And the grandson said, "No, I didn't have the necessary ingredients." So he said, "What is it? What is the necessary ingredient that you're not able to get? Today you have malls everywhere. You can get anything from a pin to aircraft. You have the Phoenix Mall, you have the different malls, you can get from the smallest matchbox to the biggest thing you can get. So what is it that you didn't get?" He said, "No, I couldn't get a basket." So why? What, you couldn't get a basket? But why do you need a basket? He said, "No, otherwise, how do you keep the cat? Unless you take a cat and put it under the basket, how can you do Satyanarayana Puja?" This is exactly how our understanding of things have changed. Rituals, things have become more and more ritualistic, and the spirit of the entire thing is lost. And this is where Swami teaches us that it is very, very necessary to go to the heart of things. You must go straight to the source. You must realize the prema which is animating every being. I remember during one of the trips that one of the visits to the hostel in the days when we were students, Swami used to visit the hostel every day. And he would spend a lot of time with us. And he would say that don't look at people as good and bad. Okay, because that good and bad is only a superficial put on. Basically, everybody is good. And to illustrate this, Swami told us one incident which had happened in this avatar itself. He said, this happened somewhere in the 60s. There was a man in the Telangana regions, who had committed murder. And he escaped from his place and went off to the Himalayas. And after going to the Himalayas, he went there to do tapas. There are ashrams there which like to enlarge the list of people whom they have initiated. So this man was given a blanket and a stick and told to go to the upper reaches and asked to do tapas. So he went there. What kind of tapas can you do when your conscience is all the time pricking? No tapas is possible. But this man endured this because he didn't want to be caught. And back home, the police closed the file because they said that this man is not found. And they had given up on this case. Now, this man He was there in the spiritual realms with all the people in the ashrams. All were wearing ochre robes, discussion and study circles on bhakti, karma, vairagyam, all kinds of things. Even though he discussed about all this, read all the books, inside he felt that maybe all the others who are wearing saffron robes are also like him. Maybe they are also escaped from law. That's what he thought. And he had grown a nice beard 5 years later. So he thought it was now safe to go down to the southern part of the country. He slowly came. He came to Vijayawada, came to Visakhapatnam. He came to Bangalore and he heard about Shirdi. He wanted to go to Shirdi. As he was went to the counter, the person at the counter said, "Hey, Shirdi Baba is not there in Shirdi." He said, "I know. Shirdi Baba has taken samadhi." He said, "No. Shirdi Baba is reborn in Puttaparthi, which is closer here." And so this man was very surprised. He said, "Okay, give me a ticket for the nearest station." So he came to Penukonda. From Penukonda, he came to Puttaparthi. And he had just come there and he looked around, a spiritual place. As he walked, as Warden sat among the devotees, he noticed that there was so much of peace, everything was there. And Swami came. First thing Swami did was pick him up, and took him for an interview. To get an interview is not so easy. People pine for that interview, and here was Swami taking him on the very first day. Swami took him for interview, and as he went inside, Swami told him, "How long can you escape from your conscience?" That's what Swami asked him. It is true that you have escaped from law. You have pulled wool over the eyes of the police department. But your conscience, you cannot escape from the conscience. It's always with you. And don't postpone to another life the punishment that you need to get in this life. Go and surrender to the police. And this man, he was stunned that here was somebody who was so omniscient, and the loving way in which Swami spoke to him. Swami said, "You are worried that you will be hung. Do not worry. I am there to protect you. And this neck of yours will not see the noose, but it will see a japamala which I have created. So go ahead, do the right thing." And Swami went up to his room, got white clothes and gave this man and said, "Don't wear the ochre robes because you're misleading the world. And you're also under the impression that everyone who wears an ochre robe is like a crook like you. So go to the police department and surrender." This man was so thoroughly convinced of Swami's divinity that he went and surrendered to the police. And Swami said, the police dusted the files and took it out and found that what he's telling is true. They were surprised because nobody comes and says, "I committed a crime, please put me in jail." Nobody does that. And they dusted the file and saw that it was true. And then they arrested him and the case went on. And finally, he was given the capital punishment. The judgment was that he should be hung. But this person, I remember his name was Kalpagiri. Swami said, this person was so confident that he went on doing Namasmarana, in fact, involving in all the other prisoners also in Namasmarana and telling them, there is a right way of life. There is a way of life. There is the Lord who has come in the form of Prema itself, the compassionate Lord. He has come to teach us the right way of living. And finally, when he applied for mercy, the presidential pardon was given, and his sentence was commuted to life sentence. And later on, of course, this was also shortened because of his good behavior and the helpful nature that he exhibited. So here was a person whose life had completely changed. And as Swami says, when you have Daiva Preeti and Papa Nibhiti, Sangha Neethi is automatic. Sangha Neethi happens by itself. And if I have to follow the code, that is the rule. I must be on time, so I'm exactly on time. I pray to Swami that he should enter our hearts and get installed as love. And that love will guide us, will be the light which will show us the path of Dharma, which will lead us closer and closer to him, and one day make us merge at his lotus feet. Thank you. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sai Ram, brothers and sisters, any questions to sir?
So from the fact that there are no questions, it looks like I have successfully put all my audience to sleep.
No, sir, because it was so clear, sir. The points were so clear. Anybody want to take part in the discussion, please?
Yes, Saram, you can unmute your mics and ask questions. Please, Saram.
I think no questions, sir, because everybody will be enjoying the beautiful memories and the beautiful satsang. Sir, thank you so much, sir. As usual, I need not tell you, Swami has molded, as a student, hundreds of times, Swami asked you to speak to the devotees and others, and as a teacher also. So you were always in the list of speakers as far as Bhagawan is concerned. Even today, sir, Swami has blessed us by providing you to this audience, to this August gathering. And once again, on behalf of everybody, sir, we express our deep gratitude and love to you, sir, and we'll be waiting for the next session. And we thank each and every brother and sister who have joined today with us. Thank you all. And we pray to our beloved Bhagawan to bless all of us so that our journey will be fruitful. And as Sir remarked, our journey will be with Bhagawan in the process of, in the divine mission of Dharma Stabhana. Sai Ram to all of you. Sai Ram, sir. Sai Teja, Shanti Mantra.
Yes, sir. Saram. Oh. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.